I was with Chloe Sinclair for 3 years. We knew, our families knew, but it never became official. 3 years ago, she schemed her way into my life. 3 years later, she tried to scheme against me, but I turned the tables on her. You thought you could manipulate the entire Hayes Corporation, but the truth is, we were just playing along with your little drama for 3 years. And frankly, it was exhausting. I'm just collecting my fee for the performance, so please, don't be heartbroken. When she knelt before my fiancé, begging pathetically, all she got in return was endless scorn. It's fine, Chloe. You get off on being degraded, don't you? I've arranged a special place for you. It'll keep you comfortable for the rest of your life. As for your little lover boy, he was just some idiot who did what he was told for a paycheck. Inside the dim bedroom of the villa, a seductive smile played on Chloe Sinclair's beautiful face. Ethan, love me. Let's have a baby. Then we can have a huge wedding. What do you think? Her voice was a provocative whisper as she gently nibbled on my earlobe. I looked at her, my expression a mask of tenderness. We knew each other's bodies so well, yet every time, Chloe could so easily stir something in me. Her favorite thing was watching me slowly lose my composure under her playful teasing. My darling Chloe, you want to get married? I lower my head, hiding the true feelings in my eyes. Chloe wrapped herself around me like a serpent, her tone dripping with temptation. We've been together for a few years now. Let's get married. My heart skipped a beat. The Hayes and Sinclair families were rivals and allies in the business world, depending on where the profits lay. Yet here I was, one of the heirs to the Hayes Corporation, secretly involved with Chloe Sinclair for 3 years. It seemed the Sinclairs were getting impatient. After we were finished, Chloe poured me a glass of water. Not long after I drank it, a wave of drowsiness washed over me, and my eyes fluttered shut. I don't know how much time passed, but I slowly opened my eyes when I heard the front door click shut. I didn't turn on lights. I just stood by the window, a faint smile on my lips as I watched the taillights of her car disappear into the distance. The drug in that water had been replaced with a vitamin tablet long ago. That afternoon, my assistant sent me a video. The stars were my girlfriend and her best friend. The location was Chloe's favorite coffee shop. Chloe, are you really going to marry Ethan Hayes? Chloe looked languid. She took a delicate sip of her coffee and shot her friend a half smile. Of course, the Hayes Corporation is stronger than ever. I have no reason to let a cash cow like that go. Once I merge the Hayes Corporation into Sinclair Industries, I'll make him disappear. Then, Leo can marry into my family. Her friend grinned. Chloe, that's a brilliant plan. By then, you'll be the most powerful businesswoman in New York. Everyone will have to answer to you. A scornful smile touched Chloe's lips at her friend's flattery. And Arthur Hayes, that old bastard, will be utterly humiliated, won't he? After how he crushed Sinclair Industries all those years ago. I want him to live a long life just so I can laugh at him for the rest of it. The video ended there. I chuckled softly. I wasn't angry. I'd known all of this for 3 years. That year, I had just graduated from college and was starting to learn the ropes of the family business. I was at a bar one night when someone tried to set me up. If my older brother hadn't sensed something was wrong beforehand, a honey trap would have been the least of my worries. To draw out the person behind it, I pretended to fall for it. That's when Chloe Sinclair appeared. Honestly, I was confused at the time. We didn't really have any connection, even though we'd known each other since we were kids. I watched as Chloe and her bodyguards drove away the woman who was trying to blackmail me. Nothing more needed to be said. That night, everything that should and shouldn't have happened between Chloe and me happened. That night, my guard against the Sinclair family went up to the highest level. That night, I decided I would completely dismantle the Sinclair family. When I woke up again, the only thing beside me was Chloe, her skin covered in faint red marks. Ethan, I've liked you for a long time. Don't feel any pressure about last night. Let's just see where it goes. Hearing her words, I looked up. Kids from families like ours mature early. Love and sex are never the main event. We're steeped in schemes and manipulation from birth. I didn't know the specific reason for this setup, but I knew it wasn't simple. Why? We barely know each other. Chloe just smiled faintly at my question. I've been watching you for years. Believe it or not, I was just following my heart. As she spoke, she slowly buttoned her shirt. Ethan, you probably don't believe any of this, but you'll see. I've always liked you. Looking at that gorgeous face and her enchanting eyes, I smirked and wrapped an arm around her waist. The truth of that day was suffocating because I simply couldn't trust her. We had known each other our whole lives, but I could count the number of times we'd actually met on one hand. I'll admit there are plenty of people who are slaves to love, but she was definitely not one of them. The Sinclairs are all snakes. My brother had someone look into it. The results came back quickly. It turned out the Hayes and Sinclair families were never particularly close. The current generation of Sinclair heirs was ruthlessly ambitious. Chloe was at a disadvantage in her family succession battle, which is why she came up with this brilliant little plan: swallow the Hayes assets to strengthen her position within the Sinclair family. The whole thing was engineered to create a chance encounter and make me feel indebted to her. The evidence of our night together was still fresh. Too bad for her, I never took this relationship seriously. The Hayes Corporation belongs to my brother, and it belongs to me. I just never wanted to compete with him for it. But that doesn't mean I was willing to settle for mediocrity. The Sinclair family? They were serving themselves up on a silver platter. Shaking my head, I looked at the taillights that had long since vanished into the night and went back to the bedroom. Lying alone on the bed, I stared at the ceiling. Just then, my phone began to vibrate insistently. I glanced at the screen. It was my father. "Son, the capital you requested has been mobilized. Don't disappoint me this time. Your brother will help you. Don't overthink things. The Hayes family will always have your back." The events of 3 years ago were an open secret within the Hayes family. When they learned the truth, they were furious. We played hardball with the Sinclairs in the market, but we never resorted to such cheap tricks behind the scenes. The Hayes family may be ruthless, but we have a code. I could honestly say I'd done nothing to wrong Chloe Sinclair. If she had wanted a marriage alliance, it wouldn't have been impossible. But a setup? I don't accept that. Those who treat others like fools eventually find out they're the biggest fool of all. After a moment of silence, I nodded. "Dad, I know. Don't worry, I won't let the Sinclairs off easy." My dad, Arthur Hayes, roared with laughter. "Good. You were always the most like me. I never believed for a second that some woman could cloud your judgment." After hanging up, I lay there, quietly staring at the ceiling. I don't know how long passed before the door opened. Chloe walked in softly and wrapped her arms around me from behind. Seeing my eyes were open, she planted a light kiss on my cheek. "Ethan, you're awake? You were sleeping so soundly just now, I didn't want to wake you." In that moment, I had to admire her. Her acting was flawless. "Yeah, it's getting late. Let's get some sleep." When I woke up again, it was morning. Chloe had already left the villa, leaving a note on the dining table, held down by a delicate pastry. "Honey, it's a crazy day at the office, so I had to leave early. Make sure you eat breakfast. XO." I sat there, feeling detached, as if none of it had anything to do with me. When we first got together, I'd had my fantasies. Maybe we could have had a future. Looking back now, it was all so ironic. Just as my thoughts began to drift, my phone buzzed. A message from my assistant. It was about Chloe, without a doubt. The Sinclairs had been making bigger moves lately, which meant my assistant's job of tailing her was becoming more demanding. "Mr. Hayes, Ms. Sinclair just arrived at Aura. Should I continue to follow?" I paused for a moment, then stood up and poured myself a glass of water. "Keep following." Soon, messages started streaming in, one after another. Gradually, a picture of her day formed in my mind. That morning, Chloe left the house but didn't go to her office. She had booked the entire Aura Lounge to celebrate the return of her first love, Leo Vance. Leo had been more or less forced to go abroad years ago. His family was comfortable, but compared to the Sinclairs and the Hayes, they were nothing. It had nothing to do with me. It was the Sinclair family that disapproved of the match. Now he was back, running straight to Chloe. He'd landed a job as her assistant the moment he returned, living the high life. It was a beautiful love story. A real shame it was all built on a plan to destroy me. Slowly, night fell. The day had passed in a blur. I wasn't in the mood to go home. If I went back, I have to put on that fake smile and play along. Knock, knock, knock. Someone was at my office door. I frowned, about to ask who was ignoring my orders not to be disturbed. I looked up and saw the person had already walked in. It was Chloe. "What are you doing here?" Chloe's eyes narrowed, my cold tone clearly unsettling her. "Ethan, why are you being so cold? Is something bothering you?" After a pause, seeing I wasn't responding, she continued. Or did someone say something to you?" I fought back the urge to retch and feign nonchalance. "It's nothing. I just heard a guy named Leo Vance is back in town. Sounds like he's pretty talented." At the mention of Leo's name, Chloe froze. She quickly scrutinized my expression, and, seeing nothing, visibly relaxed. She reached for my hand, but I gently pulled away. "I wouldn't want to interrupt your date with Leo." An unreadable emotion instantly filled Chloe's eyes. "Ethan, are you misunderstanding something? Leo and I are just friends. It's not what you think." I suppressed a sneer and forced a sarcastic smile. "Isn't it? Then what was today all about?" With that, I had no desire to see her reaction. I waited for my assistant to get her out. That's right, I had her thrown out. My plans were nearly complete. There was no need to keep up the charade. 3 years of patience were about to culminate in the guaranteed destruction of Sinclair Industries. It was worth it. By the time I left the Hayes Corporation building, the moon was high in the sky. I was standing on the sidewalk, trying to clear my head, when the screech of tires tore through the night. A car had lost control and was careening straight toward me. The sudden danger left me stunned. It was about to hit me. "Watch out!" A figure dove at me, tackling me to the ground as we rolled several times. By the time I realized it was Chloe, blood was blurring my vision. I wasn't that cold-blooded. I scooped her into my arms, my voice tight with panic. I couldn't understand it. If she was just using me, why would she risk her life to save me? Had she had a change of heart? Chloe's face was pale, clearly terrified, but she didn't seem to care, her focus entirely on me. "Honey, are you okay?" I shook my head, glancing at the driver being restrained by my bodyguards. Seeing that I was truly unharmed, Chloe's eyes rolled back and she fainted. A checkup at the hospital revealed her injuries weren't serious. Just some minor scrapes and bruises. The worst of it was a mild concussion. I stayed by her side at the hospital for 3 days. No matter what, she had been injured because of me, even if the whole thing felt suspicious. While I walked out of the hospital, my assistant was waiting at the entrance. "Mr. Hayes, we've looked into it. Your concerns were justified." After a beat, seeing my expression was calm, he continued his report. "The scrapes were real, but the concussion was faked. The driver was paid off. He was never meant to hit you. It was all a setup to give Ms. Sinclair an opportunity." I let out a cold laugh. It seemed the Sinclairs were getting nervous. Otherwise, they wouldn't have staged such a dramatic act. It was all just a ploy to buy more time. Over the past 3 years, the partnership between our two companies had deepened. But overall, the Hayes family still held the upper hand. The Sinclairs thought they were bleeding us dry, but in reality, their own company had been infiltrated so thoroughly it was like a sieve. I had never once believed in her honey trap. A beautiful woman can be enjoyed, and at worst, you can always turn it back on them with a little counter-espionage. Back at the villa, I started packing. It was better to clear out my things. Better to erase every trace of Chloe and me. Looking at any of it for a second too long made me sick. I wasn't finished when I heard the front door open. Chloe rushed in and threw herself into my arms. Her breathing was ragged, and there were beads of sweat on her forehead. She had clearly rushed straight from the hospital. "Ethan, something's really wrong with you lately, and the Hayes Corporation's moves in the market have been strange. Are you in some kind of trouble?" I was taken aback for a second, lowering my eyes to hide my true thoughts. Chloe was sharp. She had noticed our company's subtle maneuvers. "Oh, that. It's nothing. We've run into a few minor difficulties, but it's not a big deal." I went along with her story. Chloe studied my face, not seeming entirely convinced. "Do you need my help?" "I can't promise much, but financial support is definitely not a problem." I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. Thankfully, my brother was the one orchestrating these moves. His methods were far more sophisticated than mine. I didn't want Chloe to find out now and cause more trouble. After all, Sinclair Industries wasn't a kitten. Taking it down would require some effort. My mind raced, and I put on an innocent expression. "Chloe, don't worry. The company has a few small problems, but once they're sorted out, I'll talk to my parents about our marriage. They won't say no." Chloe's expression immediately became cryptic. She looked shy on the surface, but the sharp glint in her eyes didn't escape me. "Ethan, don't you worry. I won't let you down." I smiled mockingly. Was she addicted to acting? Did she really think I was an idiot when she'd subtly asked me for those contracts? 3 years of a relationship. The only fond memory I had left was what happened in bed. Why was Leo back? Because Chloe had gotten cocky. She thought the Sinclair family was finally strong enough to go head-to-head with the Hayes. "Honey, I believe in you. One day, we'll be able to be together out in the open." For lines like that, she deserved an Oscar. At this point, letting the situation play out a little longer seemed like it could be interesting. I smiled, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Chloe, do you really think I'm still falling for that? Did you honestly believe you could keep what's going on with you and Leo a secret from me?" That shut her up. I have a pretty easygoing personality, and my family is prominent. My polished, gentle demeanor must have made her think I was a pushover she could mold however she pleased. In the 3 years we were together, I never denied her a single request. But it wasn't for our ridiculous relationship. It was to find opportunities to plant my own people inside Sinclair Industries. Chloe didn't know about any of this. Did she really still think I was the pathetic lapdog who had lost his mind over her? As expected, Chloe's response was still full of deceit. She tried to move forward and embrace me. "Ethan, you know I only love you. Don't be jealous." As she spoke, she wrapped her arms around my waist, trying to use her tenderness to reawaken old memories. Pathetic. She was so naive. "Stop messing around. You're still hurt." Chloe thought I was showing concern for her and smiled as she lay back on the bed. It's fine, just a few scrapes. Can't you take the lead for once? You know I love you. Stop being so jealous. I casually pushed her down on the bed. Honestly, I was baffled. What kind of upbringing produces a woman so utterly shameless? In the end, I channeled all my fury into bullets of revenge, unloading them mercilessly on my target. For the sake of the bigger picture, she wouldn't dare cross the line. At least, not yet. So why should I care about the feelings of Tool? It wasn't my car, so I could drive as hard as I wanted. Once Chloe was sleeping soundly with a satisfied look on her face, I quickly went to the study. As expected, an email was waiting in my inbox. This was the arrangement between my brother and me. For important matters, we tried to avoid using our phones. We were always together, and you never knew when someone might be listening. After reading the email, I couldn't help but frown. My brother was preparing to exploit the loopholes in the contracts I had given the Sinclairs. To do this, the Hayes family had mobilized over $1 billion. There were still risks, of course. The Sinclair family was no pushover. Just as I was hesitating, my father called. "Ethan, your brother is flying back to New York tomorrow. Go pick him up from the airport. You two can discuss the plan. The business will be in your hands sooner or later." Tomorrow? I frowned slightly. I didn't object, but I worried my brother's return might tip our hand. My preparations were still just shy of complete. Still, I agreed. I just hung up when Chloe pushed the door open. Without a word, she covered her mouth and ran out. I froze. Chloe had always been in perfect health. Her reaction, it was exactly like morning sickness. I hurried after her. In that moment, I admit my feelings were complicated. If this child was mine, the blood tie was unbreakable. What about the plan then? When I helped her out of the bathroom, she smiled. Her face, pale from vomiting, was still beautiful. "Ethan, you're going to be a father." She leaned against me and gently kissed my cheek. Seeing my body stiffen, she pouted. "Why aren't you saying anything? Are you speechless with joy?" My mind was a chaotic mess. Right now, I couldn't be sure the child was mine. If it was, what would I do? But why would Chloe be pregnant? Our entire relationship was a setup she had orchestrated. Chloe didn't comment on my silence, probably assuming I was just shocked by the news. "Ethan, I'm pregnant now. Once I'm past the first trimester, will you take me to meet your parents?" I opened my mouth, but I didn't know what to say. The plan to move against Sinclair Industries was supposed to happen any day now, but the arrival of this child had thrown everything into disarray. How was I supposed to explain this? I realized with a painful clarity that I wasn't as cold-blooded as I thought. After all, this could very well be my child. The next day, I watched Chloe leave, then headed to the airport to pick up my brother, Julian. "Little brother, I know about Chloe. I've already had my assistant look into it, so don't panic yet." I had told him about the pregnancy last night. In response to my hesitation, Julian had just scoffed. "Foolish. The Sinclairs aren't lovesick idiots. They've probably sensed something is wrong, and this is just a stalling tactic. And don't forget her precious first love. Just because you haven't seen anything doesn't mean they're clean. At the very least, IVF is always a possibility." After hearing that, I fell silent. For the rest of the day, Julian went over the details of the plan against the Sinclairs with me. But my mind was elsewhere, and he frowned. "Little brother, has Chloe really gotten to you? Look at this. You can't possibly still think that baby is yours." He handed me a file his assistant had just delivered. It turned out Chloe had known she was pregnant for a week. The person who went with her to the hospital for the checkup was Leo Vance. I had to hand it to my brother's assistant. He was efficient. He hadn't just found that out. He had even managed to get the records of their IVF procedure. With that, I finally let go of everything. Julian snorted coldly. "Satisfied now? I told you. The Sinclairs will do anything for profit." I sat on the sofa, staring intently at the pages. He was right. Hadn't I known from the very beginning that this was all a trap set by her family? Julian stood beside me, waiting until I had processed the information before speaking again. "I have to go abroad again in a few days. Too much going on over there. I'm leaving things here in your hands." The date on the plan was just 3 days away. After a moment's silence, I took out my phone and called Chloe. "Chloe, we're breaking up." Before I could finish, she cut me off. Chloe let out a deep sigh, her voice dripping with pity. "Ethan, did I do something wrong? Why break up? I'm carrying your child." I laughed coldly. In the end, this woman would do anything for her family's interests, even if it meant acting for 3 years with a man she couldn't stand. I lowered my eyes, a sarcastic smile on my face that she couldn't see. "It's meaningless. I have a gift for you. Someone will deliver it." With that, I hung up. While Chloe was reeling from the news of our breakup, Leo Vance walked in, his face grim. "Chloe, this is today's news." Chloe, stunned, took the tablet from his hand. The news was about a Hayes Corporation press conference. My father, Arthur Hayes, was on screen, looking triumphant as he spoke enthusiastically about the company's new investment prospects. But the content of his speech made Chloe's face turn pale. Everything he said pointed to a single conclusion. The Hayes Corporation was shifting its business strategy for Sinclair Industries, which was in the middle of a restructuring heavily dependent on its contracts with us. This was a death sentence. Seeing her ashen face, Leo was deeply concerned. He knew the entire plan. Chloe, why would the Hayes Corporation suddenly change its investment direction? Ethan never said a word about this. The question struck a nerve. Chloe's face was so dark it looked like it could drip ink. Don't tell me that old fox Arthur Hayes found out about your plan? Chloe's hand went limp. Yes, that had to be it. Why else would Ethan suddenly break up with her? Figuring this out, she immediately gave an order. Find out where Ethan is right now. I need to find him. Before her subordinate could respond, a gruff, older voice came from behind her. Chloe instinctively straightened her back. Dad, her father snorted. The Hayes are moving their assets. The landscape in New York is about to change. You and I are going to be very busy. For some reason, a fire ignited in Chloe. Dad, you knew about this? Then why didn't you tell me? If her father had given her a heads up, she wouldn't be in such a desperate position. Her father roared in anger. You have the nerve to ask me? You haven't even been home. You spend all your time holed up in that villa doing God knows what. Did you ever once come back when I called you to discuss business? I'm telling you, you have to keep Ethan Hayes on your side. If he turns on us now, the Sinclair family is finished. Chloe didn't dare say another word. It was only after the door slammed shut that she cursed under her breath. Leo didn't dare speak, only testing the waters with a placating tone. Chloe, just listen to your father. You and Ethan have been together for 3 years. If you go and beg him now, he probably won't be so heartless. Chloe was already seething, and his words earned Leo several slaps across the face. Who gave you the right to speak? If you weren't such a useless piece of trash who can't help with anything, would I have to grovel and beg him? Look at you, and you still have the audacity to think you can marry me? Pushing your own goddess into another man's bed. Real impressive. Chloe's eyes were red, her fists clenched. The atmosphere froze, filled only with the sound of her ragged, angry breathing. Leo was too stunned by the slaps to speak. After a long moment, he finally worked up the courage to try again. But Chloe, if you don't go and win him back now, the entire Sinclair family will be in crisis. I don't want you to be with him either, but the family is the most important thing. Leo's shameless words left Chloe stunned. Slowly, she calmed down, realizing that Leo, the man she had obsessed over, was truly nothing. The Sinclairs already had a low moral bar, but Leo, he seemed to have no bar at all. While Chloe was still trying to figure out how to win back our family's forgiveness, our retribution had already arrived. In just 1 week, Sinclair Industries' stock price plummeted. Seeing the situation, every major company in New York chose to protect themselves. After all, no one wanted to go down with a sinking ship. It was clear to everyone that the Sinclair family was doomed this time. It wasn't that they were incompetent. It was that my brother's methods were simply too ruthless. 3 years had been more than enough time for him to infiltrate their company until it was full of holes. You couldn't see it in normal times, but when trouble hit, Sinclair Industries had no secrets left. It's no exaggeration to say that if I wanted to know, I could find out how many times a day Chloe went to the bathroom and what she did in there. Chloe rushed to the villa to find me. The moment she walked in, she saw the butler directing the staff as they packed several suitcases. When she saw what they were holding, a surge of rage went straight to her head. Who gave you permission to touch my things? Her roar made the maids stop in their tracks. Chloe strode over and bent down to pick up the clothes scattered on the floor. She knew I liked her to be wild in bed and had bought plenty of equipment to enhance our relationship. To be honest, sometimes we did get a little depraved. If you took away her family's scheming, she was a pretty good partner in bed. The butler walked over, frowning. Ms. Sinclair, Mr. Hayes informed us that you two have broken up. He asked us to pack your belongings and have them sent to you. Since you're here, that makes it easier. We'll be finished shortly and can deliver them wherever you specify. Chloe swayed, her expression dazed. Break up? Ethan is serious about this, but I'm carrying his child. Deep down, Chloe knew these servants would never dare to lie, but a sense of panic rose from within her, and she refused to believe it was true. Because if it was, she would have to face a terrifying reality. Ethan wasn't leaving her because his father forced him to. It was his own choice. He truly didn't want her anymore, and he was going to destroy her family. How could this be? Chloe's mind went blank, her thoughts in chaos. She desperately tried to recall any clues. Suddenly, She remembered. Ethan's coldness toward her seemed to have started the day Leo came back. That day, he was clearly furious, but his eyes were just cold. Chloe swallowed hard, finding her mouth was completely dry. She took out her phone, her hands trembling as she told her assistant to find my location. There were some things she wanted to clear up in person. I knew nothing about any of this. My father felt I had finally matured emotionally and was ready to give me more responsibility and a partner to help. He actually wanted me to marry the eldest daughter of the Thorne family. The reason for the rush? It all came down to a joint venture the Hayes family was pursuing overseas. The Thornes had been eyeing it for a long time. What century is this? Still pushing arranged marriages. So annoying. The icy queen in front of me was my intended bride, the eldest daughter of the Thorne family, Isabel Thorne. I rolled my eyes, not backing down an inch from her snide remark. You're 25, and you've never been in a relationship. Are you frigid? My words made her shoot to her feet. You bastard. It's called having standards. Not like you, you animal. You get a girl pregnant and then dump her. Feeling proud of yourself. I didn't have a comeback for that. I was feeling pretty proud. And from the looks of it, Miss Thorne wasn't nearly as adventurous as Chloe. Even though Isabel Thorne's face was flushed with anger, there was nothing she could do. The Hayes family held all the cards right now. The contract was in her hands. Are you going to sign this or not? Our family's already agreed to it. I shot her a glance and, with a wicked grin, placed my hand on her leg. I'll sign. I'll definitely sign. Nothing solves a world of problems like a woman in black stockings. The Thorne family really knows how to show its sincerity. The smooth feel of the silk, combined with the blush on Isabel's face, was a captivating combination. Just as I was about to get to know Miss Thorne a little better, an unwelcome interruption ruined the moment. Mr. Hayes, Ms. Sinclair is here to see you. My assistant knocked on the office door. Before I could answer, Chloe burst in. Isabel, who was already at her wits' end from my teasing, finally had a target for her anger. She slammed her coffee cup down on the table. Ms. Sinclair, I suggest you remember your manners. Forcing your way into someone's office without permission is incredibly rude. But Chloe completely ignored her. Her eyes were fixed on me, filled with disbelief. Why? Ethan, I'm carrying your child. How could you be so cruel? How could you do this? How dare you? I snorted and motioned for my assistant to get her out. Ms. Sinclair, you know exactly what's going on. Are you sure that baby in your belly is mine? Chloe finally calmed down. Her earlier display wasn't anger. It was a front to hide her fear and guilt. She shot a glare at my assistant, then walked toward me, step by step. Ethan, don't joke around. Of course this baby is yours. You've been the only man in my life these past few years. If you don't believe me, you can have it checked. I swear, I have never betrayed you. We can even do a paternity test if we have to. I glanced at her with disgust and pointed to the file on my desk. What were you and Leo Vance doing at the hospital 2 weeks ago? My question shattered Chloe's last glimmer of hope, but she still tried to bluff her way through. Ethan, you've misunderstood. I wasn't feeling well, and Leo just came with me to the hospital for a checkup. If you don't like it, I'll tell him to get lost right now. That was the last straw for Isabel. Miss Thorne shot to her feet and slapped Chloe across the face. The force was so great that Chloe's cheek swelled up instantly. Chloe Sinclair, you are shameless. You know damn well whose bastard you're carrying. Chloe had been arrogant for too many years to take that kind of insult. Besides, she had never considered Isabel Thorne, whose family was on par with her own, a real threat. It must have been you, you little slut. You seduced Ethan. Isabel, who was already tall, stepped forward, towering over Chloe. She grabbed a handful of her hair and slapped her several more times. Security, get her out of here, trying to steal my fiancé. You must have a death wish. I signaled for the bodyguards to separate them. I wasn't worried about much, but if Isabel got hurt, it would be difficult to explain to her family. Besides, my fiancé was important. I had to protect her. Chloe, have some self-respect. You wanted to scheme against the Hayes family, but you're still too green. Don't worry, I have no intention of letting the Sinclairs off the hook. But Chloe refused to give up. She dropped to her knees. Ethan, Leo, and I are really nothing. You have to believe me. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you. I've learned a lot of new skills. I'm definitely better at it than Isabel Thorne. Seeing her still trying to salvage the situation, my patience ran out. I cut her off. You got close to me to plot against my family's business, didn't you? 3 years ago, and with the car crash too. After all this, how can you still have the nerve to come here and beg me? As I spoke, my expression shifted to a faintly sarcastic smile. Chloe looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her face fell. So you knew everything. Now, Chloe's heart was filled with regret and bitterness. Not regret for scheming against me, but regret for not being careful enough. If she hadn't been found out, things wouldn't have ended up like this. Ethan, I was wrong about this. I apologize. I may have approached you with an agenda, but we were together for over 1,000 days and nights. Don't you cherish any of those beautiful memories? At first, Chloe's tone was apologetic, but as she went on, a hint of resentment crept in. For 3 years, her efforts, her sacrifices, they were real. As a target, she had taken enough bullets to fight a small war. I lifted her chin with my finger, forcing her to look me in the eye. Chloe, you wanted to have a baby, so my father would give you a piece of the company. The truth is, you never wanted my child. Besides, in our world, how much genuine emotion is there? The Hayes family can give you what you want, but we will absolutely not raise another man's child. You know it yourself. You can't have this baby. Chloe's body trembled slightly, a deep unease hidden beneath her forced smile. That's right, this was also part of her plan. Ethan, don't be ridiculous. The baby is yours. Why would I want it? My face was a mask of cold indifference. Stop acting. The baby is the product of you and Leo's IVF. As for why you can't have it, do you really dare to give birth? Seeing the panic mixed with guilt in her eyes, I sneered. You did everything you could to please me, all while planning to kick me to the curb. When you got caught, you were ready to sacrifice the child in your womb. But don't you worry. I think you're very adventurous. When the time comes, I'll find a special place for you to play to your heart's content. Chloe was completely stunned. She tried to struggle, but my hand was clamped tightly around her neck. In that moment, she had to face reality. I knew everything, even her biggest secret. I waved my hand, and the bodyguards came forward and dragged her out. Chloe sat slumped on the sidewalk outside the Hayes Corporation building, letting the passers-by point and stare. She rested her forehead in her hand, her eyes fixed on Leo Vance, standing in the distance with a look of pure hatred. From a young age, the Sinclairs had drilled into her that profit was all that mattered, and she had always believed it was right. She had even thrown herself into the scheme to take me down. It wasn't that she was naturally depraved. She was just willing to sacrifice anything for the sake of profit. In fact, that's exactly what she did. The humiliation she suffered at my hands, she would inflict on Leo tenfold. She needed to feel the thrill of being adored, of being a queen. Seeing Leo kneeling at her feet, desperate and denied, gave her a twisted sense of pleasure. Finally, her expression returned to a cold calm. Drive to Leo's place. The driver turned the car around and headed for the villa. After Leo returned, Chloe had kept him like a pet dog in her villa. Although she would never dare to cross that final line, she enjoyed the game nonetheless. Arriving at the villa, Chloe angrily shoved the door open. Leo was sitting there, smugly sipping coffee. The sight of Chloe left him momentarily flustered. Kneel! Chloe's voice was ice. Under the watchful eyes of the bodyguards, Leo knew what to do. Between getting hit by her and getting beaten by the bodyguards, he chose the former. At least Chloe's hits weren't as hard. She was an amateur, after all. Kneeling on the floor, Leo was slapped over 100 times as Chloe gripped his hair, his cheeks swelling up like a pig's. Chloe, what's wrong? Are you in a bad mood today? Stop, please. Your hand is getting swollen. It hurts me to see it. What a stupid question. Would she be hitting him if she were in a good mood? Chloe's face was dark as she ground her high heel into Leo's fingers. Tell me, who sent you to get close to me? And don't tell me it was all a coincidence. You came back to the country and just happened to run into me. You just happened to put up with all my bad moods. More importantly, when we did the IVF, how did the Hayes family just happen to find out? I suggest you tell me the truth. Otherwise, you know what I'm capable of. At that moment, Leo was filled with a terror that far outweighed the physical pain. Chloe had always enjoyed tormenting him, but never like this. Besides, he had a guilty conscience. Chloe, I'm not lying to you. I didn't know you were with Ethan Hayes at first. I just wanted to come back and rely on you. You know how hard things were for me overseas all those years. That's why I came back and knelt before you. Not a single word of it was true. From the moment he had been forced to return, he had to abandon all his dignity. Later, even though Chloe was twisted, she could provide him with a life of luxury. He could even take out the humiliation he suffered on the even weaker girls at the clubs. As he spoke, he started to believe his own lies. Chloe snorted, her expression seeming to soften slightly. Is that so? Then show me your sincerity. With that, she abruptly lifted her high heel and stomped it down on Leo's head. Her voice was filled with a sadistic chill. Lick it clean. If it's spotless, I'll forgive you. Though Leo's heart was filled with humiliation, he had no choice but to obsequiously bring his mouth to her shoe. Out of his line of sight, Chloe made a few hand signals to her bodyguards. Just as Leo was working diligently, thinking he had escaped his fate for the day, Chloe's icy voice rang out again. You can't even lick a shoe clean. What use are you? Before the words had even faded, he was restrained by several bodyguards. Take him. The bodyguards were efficient. In less than an hour, everything Chloe wanted to know was laid out on her desk. Ma'am, we've looked into it. Leo Vance was set up abroad. He lost a huge amount of money at a casino and has been under someone's control ever since. The person only told him to come back and get close to you to find a way to get you pregnant with a child. As for anything else, Leo doesn't know. Chloe's voice was flat. She had already suspected as much. Who's behind it? The bodyguard shook his head. We don't know. Leo is a coward. A couple of threats, and he did whatever they said. He never dared to ask their identity, only that they were very rich. She thought about the heavy losses Sinclair Industries had suffered under the Hayes family's assault in recent days. She hadn't rested properly in days. She poured herself a glass of red wine and downed it in one go. No, I was framed. If Ethan knew about this, he would definitely forgive me. After all, I never crossed that line. As long as he forgives me, I'm still the daughter of the Sinclair family. Even if I can't marry into the Hayes family, I'm still an heiress. With that, Chloe left without a backward glance. She was still congratulating herself, certain she finally had a reason to be forgiven. Unfortunately for her, the countless messages she sent went unanswered. I had blocked her long ago. But Chloe didn't back down. For the sake of the Sinclair family, for the sake of her own prosperous future, she now had endless patience. Finally, 3 days later, Chloe managed to corner me outside Isabel Thorne's villa. I was just getting out of the car with Isabel, laughing and talking. Lately, I don't know if Isabel had discovered some of my shining qualities, but our relationship had progressed rapidly. We had even crossed that final line. Miss Thorne wasn't as adventurous as Chloe, but she was still pretty wild. What do you call that? An acquired taste? The moment she saw me, Chloe lunged forward like a madwoman. Perhaps it was just her bad luck, but before she could reach me, Isabel stuck out a foot and sent her sprawling. Ethan, seeing me take a couple of steps back, ready to leave with Isabel, Chloe let out a bitter laugh and tried to get up. A look of annoyance crossed my face. This woman was like dirt, impossible to shake off. Chloe, I told you, the Hayes family doesn't take in trash. Chloe's hand froze in midair, a look of despair on her face. Ethan, I know I was wrong, but I swear someone was plotting against me from behind the scenes. And don't worry, Leo never touched me. The baby was from IVF. I've already made an appointment at the clinic to take care of it tomorrow morning. Isabel couldn't stand for this. Her good upbringing only went so far as to slap Chloe a few times, not to humiliate her further. Ms. Sinclair, if you're lonely, I can arrange for some male models for you. But please, stop bothering my man. Isabel's tone was cold, but I caught a flicker of nervousness in her otherwise indifferent eyes. I smiled and patted her arm. Let's go, Isabel. No need to waste our breath on her. Seeing my resolve, the corners of Isabel's mouth turned up slightly. If I hadn't been looking closely, I would have missed it. It seemed the Ice Queen was finally starting to thaw. It made sense. She didn't care about my past with Chloe, but she would never accept us having any lingering connection. Thankfully, I was never one to spoil a good mood. Let's go back and review yesterday's homework. I ignored Chloe shouting behind us. The diligent bodyguards would ensure she never got near us again. The only regrettable thing was Isabel's kindness. As we walked past Chloe, I clearly saw her deliberately shift her high heel a few centimeters to the side, landing it squarely on Chloe's fingers. In just 1 month, Sinclair Industries went bankrupt. Seeing the entire Sinclair family kneeling on the floor, I smiled playfully. Even at this stage, Chloe's father was still defiant. Ethan Hayes, aren't you being too cruel? No matter what, Chloe was with you for 3 years. How could you just cast her aside? Are you even human? Besides, you slept with Isabel Thorne, but didn't you sleep with Chloe too? Why did you have to destroy our family? The thing with Leo really wasn't our fault. The entire scheme was their idea from the beginning, but now that they were on the losing end, they wanted to pin all the blame on me. But from today, all debts will be settled. From now on, we would be people from 2 different worlds, with no possibility of ever crossing paths again. I couldn't help but snort. Mr. Sinclair, it's been a while. Your temper is still as foul as ever. Don't worry, I'll find a new place for you to work on that. I clapped my hands, and several police officers walked in. These last few days had not been good for Leo Vance. When the truth came out, he got scared. He had come back to the country partly because he was coerced, but more importantly, because the Sinclairs had money, and Chloe was willing to spend it on him. The price was high, but what doesn't come at a cost? For his several $100,000 monthly allowance, what humiliation. No, That was just the affection of his sugar mama. A few months of abuse in exchange for that long string of numbers in his bank account. He was satisfied. But now his sugar mama wanted him dead. So he ran, but he didn't get far. Chloe's father had been watching him. TSK, how tragic. In front of the officers, I had my assistant submit a video recording. It was footage of Leo being knocked unconscious and thrown into a reservoir. The bodyguards who carried it out had already given their full statements at the station. You're despicable. Seeing his plan exposed, Mr. Sinclair's chest heaved violently. He looked like he was about to reach for heart medication. But the officers weren't about to listen to him. They immediately restrained him. Just as they were about to leave, I spoke up. Wait, just as Mr. Sinclair thought I was about to say something in his defense, I pointed to his only son. Officers, you missed one. He was involved too. His eyes met mine, sparks flying in the air between us. He could see the triumph and mockery in my gaze. Didn't see that coming, did you? Don't worry, I'll make sure the Sinclair family line ends with you. The Hayes family's legal team will get justice for the innocent life of Leo Vance. After the door closed, Chloe looked at me in utter disbelief. Ethan, if you really hate me, you can punish me however you want. But please, let my family go. Leo was shameless. My father was just desperate and had no other choice. I looked at the woman before me coldly, mentally calculating how much money the Sinclair family still owed me. That's right. Sinclair Industries was now officially under the Hayes name, but their assets were nowhere near enough to cover their debts. Chloe, you like to play, don't you? It's fine. I found a place for you. It's in the Caribbean. If you go, all your debts will be cleared. Seeing the woman was about to say something, I grabbed her by the neck without hesitation. 10 million. You still owe me 10 million. It's not a lot of money, but you will not touch a single cent that belongs to the Hayes family. It was the same bar from 3 years ago, the same familiar spot. Julian, you're here. My brother smiled and sat down. It seems you and Isabel are getting along well. Take good care of the company. I smiled and raised my glass to him. These past few months, my relationship with Isabel had progressed quickly. With the deepening partnership between our families, we were already engaged. Julian, why did you choose this place today? He drained his glass, his expression as calm as ever. No reason. There are just some things you should know. He pushed a tablet toward me. I opened it curiously. It was a video recording dated about 6 months ago. I exchanged a glance with Isabel. We started watching. It turned out everything that happened to Leo Vance overseas was a setup orchestrated by my brother. The man was just too greedy. No, not just greedy, but lecherous too. A pretty woman batted her eyelashes a few times, and he lost his head, racking up huge gambling debts. Little brother, it's just as you see. Leo was my arrangement. I was afraid that if it went on for too long, you would get trapped in Chloe's web of affection. Do you understand? I nodded and handed the tablet back. Don't worry, Julian. I get it. Otherwise, everything wouldn't have fallen into place so perfectly, with the Hayes family coming out on top. I patted Isabel's shoulder. A toast to my brother. The past is the past. Today, we say goodbye to it for good. Now, the Sinclair father and son have been sentenced to death for premeditated murder. Chloe is thriving at her new resort in the Caribbean. Her twisted tastes are nothing compared to what goes on there. She's like a sponge, eagerly learning new techniques every day. All that's left of the Sinclair family is Chloe's mother. Unable to handle the shock, she had a complete breakdown. My brother, in a moment of kindness, had her admitted to a psychiatric hospital. She'll likely spend the rest of her life there.